And so it is. So we're into the fourth section of this series of 7, passing the halfway mark. It's been an interesting series, and when we had the experience yesterday, some of you were here, it was amazing to see some of the incredible healing that occurred of decades. And it just shows us as we open up and get in alignment with the vibration of this life force, of this intelligence, of this power, of the things that can happen in our lives very quickly, as we saw yesterday. I'm not going to go back and pick up, but those of you who have been following along in the last series before this, you're going to see a lot of connections today in what we did in the Tao Te Ching, because of some of the teachings that we had there, a little bit different than what we get in the West. But I think you're going to see the connection there, which is what I keep saying, no matter where you go in the world, you're going to find the great spiritual teachers have been teaching exactly the same truth. Little different names, little different culture. And I just want to make sure that you all remember Tuesday night, right here. We continue to meet from 7 to 8:30, and they have been wonderful. I've really absolutely enjoyed. This has been the best series since I've been here, and I'm getting great feedback. So if you have a chance, come join. I think you'll enjoy. So the basis of this whole series is on science and spirituality coming together. And Einstein led this thing a long, long time ago, almost 100 years ago now, was this quote, that everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. But here was the key that we missed. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. And we have embraced that in this series of looking for ways that we can match the frequency. That's the key. And that's what we have found hasn't been taught in a very good way, that we have learned how to do that. And we're looking to do that. And he ended this very powerful quote with this. This is not philosophy. And I would put here not religion. And not even spirituality. It's physics. It's science. And what I love about when we get in alignment with physics and science, we begin to get into things of universal laws. And that creates a safety and a security in the knowing of that. I'm looking for my glass of water. My bottle of water.
Do you want to use?
Can I use yours?
Mine? Absolutely. It's got lemon in it.
That's what I need. I'm having some challenges between this and my bloody nose yesterday.
Oh, here.
Woo. Wow. That was a little bit of water with some lemon. Thank you, Kate. That was wonderful. So our thoughts create our feelings. We know that to be true. And when we know that, when we have the negative feelings, we can go back to what is the thought that created it. But here's the key, is our feelings also have frequency, and they create our vibrations. And many times, and we've talked about this, that we do a lot of work in the thought area with the affirmations, but not a lot of work in the feelings, which the two go together to create the vibration. And as we look at universal laws, it's so important. And we have gone this the last couple of weeks, I won't do a lot on this, but as the energy flows through our bodies and we create these frequencies, which create the vibrations around our energy bodies. Some people call it energy bodies, some people call it auras, but it's our point of attraction into the universe. It's where that point is that we begin to engage the law of attraction, which we've been talking about. So these universal laws are 3 things, very important. Eternal, forever. The best way I have to describe that on the physical realm is gravity. You know, you don't have to believe in it, but it's always going to work. And you can test it if you want. You can ignore it. You can believe in something else, but it will always work. And that's what we see in the universal laws. Eternal, they're forever. Universal, they're everywhere. And they're absolute, always the same. And in the very beginning of this series, I talked about some of the things that were missing in the secret, or even in some of the unity teachings from 100 years ago. And part of that aligns with this whole notion of vibration in the energy of. And what does that do? How do we attract into the universe? So we're now into law number 4. And you can see pure potentiality, the law of attraction. Last week was law of karma. We'll not go back into those. This week is the law of least effort. Now, I don't know about you or how you were domesticated or raised, but most of us were raised in the United States with give your greatest effort, right? It's all about that. And this flies 180 degrees in the opposite direction of that. And that's why some of this teaching, I think, has been difficult to be embraced in the West, but those who are, amazing things are starting to happen as we do that. This law is based on nature. Nature functions without effort, with an abandoned carefreeness. It's not all tied up in its head. It's not all tied up in its ego. It's not all tied up in what other people think of that gorgeous pine tree. It doesn't care. It goes on every day without effort and ease. And as we begin to align with these universal laws, we see this as really a principle of harmony and love. It comes together, and as we connect with it and as we align with it, it allows us to begin, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, of going downstream versus upstream. Upstream is when you take out your paddles and you go against the current and you paddle as hard as you can and basically don't get anywhere. When you begin to release that negativity and all of a sudden the canoe switches and you begin to go downstream in the flow, you no longer have to exert the effort. And that's what this law is all about, of least effort. When we look at nature, we see grass doesn't try to grow. Fish don't try to swim. Flowers don't try to bloom. Birds don't try to fly. They just do. It's the essence of who they are. And so do we have an essence. And when we get in line with that divine, perfect essence within us, we begin to see the same very things that we see in nature and begin to stop trying and get in alignment and flow. I think the master teacher Jesus taught this in a way. His teaching was resist not evil. I would say resist not negativity. Don't resist it. Allow it to be and go with the flow. And we're going to see a couple more things that we talk about this law. When we learn this law, our desires of what we want for ourselves begin to flow easily. Why? Because we are not expending our energy in trying to go upstream. We're not fighting against it and focusing on what we don't have. We are in gratitude and thanksgiving on what we do have. That is a downstream motion. The Vedic sciences, way back in Hindus teachings, thousands of years ago, said this. Eventually, you and I will accomplish everything that we want while doing nothing. I don't know about you, but I'm not there yet. Got a ways to go, right? It's part of the journey. But it's saying, and I remember what Jesus said over and over again, everything that I did, you can do and more. So this falls in line with that. As we begin to understand this at a different level, we begin to see it manifest in our lives. Least effort is expanded when our actions are motivated by love because nature is held together by the energy of love. And as we align with that unconditional love that flows through all living things, is when we are now in the downstream flow, and the effort becomes less and less over time. Or we can choose to give our energy and our thoughts to the ego. The ego consumes the greatest amount of energy of all human beings. This is an important point. Because if you want the energy to manifest what you desire in your life, we have to stop giving the energy to this and allowing ourselves to let the energy all flow into what our desires are downstream from what we're living today. When we free our energy and our reference point is spirit flowing within us, we can harness all that energy now for the desires and wishes that you have for your life. We all have these desires, but some of them are unconscious. Some of them are by default. But as we learn to be conscious and deliberate attractors to what we want in our lives, and our energy gets more and more focused, think about the times that you've been in overwhelm. Were you clear? Did you have clarity? Did you have focus of attention? No, we get all over the map. And we expend the energy of the day on all of that stuff. And what this is calling us to do is stay very focused with least effort and allowing all that. By pulling our energy from it, it begins to die away. As we become immune to others' criticisms and unfearful of any challenges, we begin to harness this power of love. It's not about what other people think of you. That's none of your business. And as you allow yourself to stay focused in what your desires are, it allows that energy to come behind you and begin to push downstream. In The Art of Dreaming, I don't know how many of you read that, where Don Juan tells Carlos Castaneda, most of our energy in life goes to upholding our importance. Most of our energy expended through however many years we spend on this planet is based on this. And what this law is saying is we move from that, all of that energy can begin to get behind us and move towards what we really, truly desire in our lives. This law has three components. And I will say, for me personally, and I don't know about you, but I find these three difficult to integrate into what I'm doing, because a lot of them these don't fit with what we've been taught and trained and what we watched our parents do and other people around us. But number one of this law of least effort is acceptance. How accepting are we? The quote here is, "Today, I will accept all people, all situations, all circumstances, and events as they occur." Y'all been practicing 24/7, right? It's not easy to do. But as we learn to do it, just think about the energy that we spent not doing it. In judgment of others, criticism, complaining. All those are energies of the ego that end up being completely and totally wasted. But as we focus back on the downstream movement, and the number one way to begin to do that is learn to be more accepting and of yourself. Some of us are most difficult in the judging, criticism, condemning, and complaining about our own selves. That's just as much a waste of energy as if you're putting it out on other people. But as you come into acceptance, more and more acceptance. And I can tell you from my experience, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, step by step. And you find yourself out there wasting that energy, and you go, wait a minute, that's not what I want. And it doesn't feel good. What do I want? And how do I want to feel? I want to feel good. I believe we came to this planet to live that way, feeling good. And as we bring that back through this process of acceptance, we begin to see ourselves going downstream even more. This means that I will know this moment is exactly as it should be. This is a hard teaching. It really is. But it's also a lesson in trust and in faith. Remember what faith is, right? And as we begin to really accept that this moment and what's occurring around us is exactly as it should be, that level of trust, we begin to have a safety and a security that we have never known before. Because we know that the entire universe is as it should be. You know, the last couple months, I've been enamored with some of the Hubble photographs that have been coming back from space. And when they start to be able to tell how old these are, when this galaxy started, it makes us understand where in the scheme of the whole process we really are. And when you think about the detail and the order for all of this to be held together for not millions of years, but billions of years, in total perfection. And when we put it in that context, it becomes a lot easier to begin to say, you know what? The universe really is exactly as it should be. And then the jump to my life is exactly as it should be becomes a little bit easier, I think, to put into place. Number 2 in this is responsibility. Not blaming anyone or anything for our situation, including ourselves. Blame no one. That's a wasted energy. This energy that's going out, it does absolutely no good for you. It doesn't affect the other person. They're going on about their lives. But right after acceptance is this level of responsibility. Learning to take personal responsibility and no blame for no one or no thing. Not blaming gives us the ability then to have creative solutions for any situation that shows up. If we're taking all of our energy and putting it out there and blaming this and blaming that, we have no energy left to begin to look for a positive, creative solution for whatever's coming. This moment is exactly as it should be. Exactly. And the final one is defenselessness. I didn't say any of these are easy. When our awareness is established in defenselessness, and we have relinquished the need to convince or persuade others of our opinion, we are beginning to move downstream. We are beginning to flow with the natural flow of the universe. When we do become defensive and blame others, and do not accept and surrender to the moment, our lives meet with resistance. Resistance in electrical lines, right, resists the flow. And what we're doing here when we engage in this defensiveness and blame, we restrict the flow. We restrict the energy that we have to move forward in a positive way. Deepak Chopra says this, and I love this little saying he has. The past is history, the future is a mystery, and this moment is a gift. That's why this moment is called the present. These are other ways that we expend our energy and don't have it for what we want, is in the past and the future. And as we move into this moment, here and now, in the present, the energy gets behind us and we float on the downstream. This was the best example I could find. Going upstream versus downstream. Most of us have spent a lot of our lives paddling as hard as we can against the current, against the flow, against the divine purpose or dharma for our lives. And as we begin to stop doing that, the canoe changes. We throw away the oars and we begin to float downstream, going with the flow. So the second part of this series is we've been looking at principles that come out of the book, The Desire Factor. We're into number 4 today. As you can see, we did the principle of alignment, the principle of focus, last week, joyful expectancy. This week is the principle of having. I don't know how many of you have read the book, but this chapter is really interesting because it brings forth a whole different understanding of how we approach life. The things, the words we use, the thoughts we use, the feelings we have, create our vibration. And it's the vibration of having which takes us, leapfrogs us quantumly into manifesting exactly what we want. And we've been talking through this whole series. It doesn't matter if it's a brand new car, a new job, or an emotion that you want to live with. The principles work the same, material, non-material. So let's take a look at this principle of having. We've been using this emotional scale. It goes from 22 to 1. And when you look at this, you're going to find that once you hit contentment, you're beginning an upward spiral. Everything else under that is less than or a downward spiral. And I just want you to think for a minute, we're owning this, whatever it is you want in your life, this desire, having it in your mind that it's already happening, you can see that's high up in the scale. It's very high up into the emotional, positive, upward spiral. So the principle of having is this: to have is to hold it. Having in the mind and the vibration then seals this deal. Whatever it is that you're looking to bring into your life. And again, it could be peace or it could be a brand new car. Doesn't matter. But once we begin to own it, once we begin to have it, mentally, emotionally, and in our being, it's already done. It's just a matter of the time now, just like when you plant the seed in the ground, there's time before you see the sprouts. But as you do this and begin to hold the energy and the vibration of having, you're going to see it show up. It has to. It's an absolute law that it will. But here's where it gets interesting. We will never have what we feel is lacking. Ever. If our vibration and our focus and our attention is on the lack thereof, we can never get anything more from the universe than more lack. This is a really important point, because as I coach folks, this is one of the ones that I see people really get confused over. And they'll do affirmations and prayers and all these things. It's really about the lack of, not of having it. And it's very different frequency. It's in completely different vibration between needing it, lacking it, and having it. So let's see if we can go a little further with this. We typically hear, I know no one here does, but say these things. I need better health. I need more money. I need to be happy. I need a friend. I need a better job. What are you going to get back? You're going to get back needing more money or more health. Oh, it's God calling. We say these things and don't realize what we're actually vibrating to and bringing to us is more lack. I need this means I don't have it. And that's the vibration that I'm putting out. And my point of attraction to the universe is this feeling that I do not have it. And it's going to bring you exactly what you just asked for. More of not having it. And if you have people in your family and friends that you hear this, the only litmus test there is to look into their lives and see. When we are needy, we bring nothing but more need. What is the vibration in those needy statements? It's the vibration of lack of them. And I think this understanding has been one of the reasons why we've seen so much use of affirmations and people so frustrated. Why people bought The Secret 27 years ago, read it. What was missing there was this piece. If you are vibrating, if you are putting out the vibration at your point of attraction to the universe of lack or need, you're going to get more lack or need of. And what Christy Whitman is talking about here in this book is we've got to make the move from need to have, to see what we want to manifest differently in our lives to start showing up. I love this quote. The secret to having it all is knowing you already do. You do. This life force that's flowing through you and me is going to flow whether you and I recognize it, whether we connect with it, whether we align with it, or whether we attract all that we want. But we can never, ever, ever attract from lack or need. But I hear this all the time. But you don't understand, I'm a realist. I pride myself in always telling it like it is. Now, I know none of you here ever said that, right? What does this person get more of? Exactly what is today. Will always, 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 the law is absolute, will always attract what you're vibrating to. That's the law of attraction. Like attracts like. And if I am one of those people who says, well, this is the way it is, this is the way it is, it will never change. Because you will continue to get exactly what is. Forever. And you and I know folks that have lived like that. More of what is. So here's the power that we were created with. The Creator source gave you and I something different than nature has. Nature doesn't get free will choice to decide, you know, I'm really bored of being a pine tree. I want to be a pineapple tree. Can't do it. Wasn't created with the ability to make free will choice. You and I are the only of the greatest of creation were given this power. And many times we don't own our power. We don't recognize the power that we have in the ability to make these choices. So the question to these is so proud that I tell you I am the proud person that I will tell you exactly what is and how it is. Do you want to continue there? Or do you want to desire something better for yourself? And if you do, you must move away from vibrating with what is. And begin inside, through your thoughts and through your feelings, through your vibration, at your point of attraction to the universe, from what you want. And begin to move to having it. Whatever we ask for, the universe has only one answer, and one answer only. Yes. The universe does not judge your thoughts. It doesn't say they're right or wrong. They don't say, well, it's not the best for you. It says yes. You want to keep it the way it is. You want to come from a place of lack. You want to come from a place of need. The universe says yes to you. And will bring more. That's why you see people stuck for lifetimes. Because they keep attracting what they're stuck in. But if you want to make a positive move, you've got to begin to move out of that and begin to go to a place of having whatever that new is you want to manifest and create in your life and attract. And you have to begin to bring that energy. So this week, I invite you, welcome you to try to hear the need and the lack words and feel that, whether someone else says it, you see it on TV, or you say it, feel the difference between that energy and when you begin to move into having it. Because from the lack and from the need, you're going to feel this: stress, desperation, anxiety. You and I have all met needy people, have we not? And did you know they were needy? You betcha. You felt it. Right? What happens when you find someone so needy who comes towards you? What do? Imagine how sensitive the universe is to that vibration. Right? You know when a needy person engages with you. You feel it. It's visceral. And it repulses you. The universe is much more powerful than this. And when you come from a place of lack, and when you come from a place of need, you are repulsing everything that you want for your life, coming from a place of lack and of need. Well, let's try. The moment we accept that our desire is a real possibility, that begins the movement to have. Not that it's here right now. That's not what we're talking about. It's talking about getting the thought and the feeling and the vibration that it is possible for me. I started this series a couple weeks ago, and I said you can be, you can do, and you can have anything you want that you believe is true for you. And this is part of the belief system, is moving from lack, from that energy, to the energy of it's possible for me. That's a nice step. Because what we've learned in this system is that you only have to go one small step up to get downstream, to get more positive. And when I go to the place that this is really, truly possible, one of the ways I can do that, if I look around and I see someone else has attained it, well, if one human being can do it, you can. If you align yourself with this energy and quit wasting it on all the other things that we talked about. You are beginning to have it. You begin to own it when you say it's a possibility. It's already shifted the energy. And you're moving now downstream in an upward spiral versus the other. You can feel that too, can't you? How do you react differently when people come in your life that are connected with the possibilities of the greatness of themselves or the situation? You can feel that too, can't you? You're attracted to that because that person has something that you say, man, it's working for them. I want to find out what more of that is. How sensitive is the universe to that same energy being put out into that point of attraction. The vibration of need and want is for something outside of us. It's external. And we know that doesn't work. Versus the vibration of beginning to have and the possibility of it is from within. It's in the oneness with this life force that's flowing through us, that is pure potentiality, that has absolutely no lack or limit in it. And as we align with that, as we connect with it, we begin to attract at that very same level. Having exists only right here and right now. Right here and right now in this moment is your personal power. Because as you begin to have the potential of having it, that becomes your future, does it not? This moment of now becomes your future, becomes your destiny. And as I begin to attract that possibility into this moment becomes tomorrow's moment, and the next moment, and the next moment. And we build and we create and attract our destiny, our future, by this moment and now. It's the only place you and I have power, is in the present. As Deepak Chopra said, can't do a thing about the past, can't do a thing about the future. It's only in this gift of life in the moment. The Bible calls this having faith, is it not? Faith in unseen things. It's not faith when you already see it. It's there. But faith is in the unseen things. And one of the ways that I believe we can take faith and move it up in our energy and move it up in our vibration is learning how to look at the possibility of having and staying centered there and feeling that energy. In every moment we have access to all emotions. Start with a thought and then creates the feelings. So all we have to do around this whole notion is look for one better feeling thought today in this moment of now. And you say, well, this concept of having, this is a big, big thing that I want to bring in my life. One small step today, in this minute, in this now. One small step creates momentum of energy and vibration that takes you step by step by step up that whole emotional grid that we use. We are attracting in every new fresh moment, whether we do it by default, unconsciously, or as a conscious, deliberate attractor of what we want in life. And this, our now, becomes our destiny. Our desires that you have, and everyone in here has desires for themselves. Some of you haven't articulated it. They may be lying in your subconscious. But everyone has them, and this having desires is the mechanism of our evolution, our expansion. It drives our never-ending state of becoming. We are not locked in who and what we're doing or being in this moment. But through becoming deliberate creators, we can create the state of becoming what we want next. And our state of becoming can be caused either by default unconsciousness or by becoming this deliberate attractor. Christy had 3 things here at the very end of the book. In relation to your stated desires, and I've asked everyone to write it down. They've had one they're working on through 4 weeks now. Are you more focused on your evolving desire or on the absence that it's not here yet? And when you put out a desire like we have 4 weeks ago, and you may not be experiencing right now, it's really easy to fall into the lack. Well, it didn't show up. I'm not doing something right. And what she's saying here is be careful of those thoughts creating feelings and vibration around it not here yet. Stay focused on having. Stay focused on what you want to go to the next level. What focal point of the feeling of having can you hold? What idea really resonates with you about the possibility of going to the next step? Find what that is, write it down, hold it, feel it, and let that create and add to the momentum that you're in this process of bringing forth. And finally, discover the thoughts, actions, daily practices that can serve you from moving from wanting and neediness to already having it. Listen this week. Listen to how you think around this, need versus have. Listen what you hear from your loved ones and family and people at work. And listen, not in judgment, but say to yourself, I heard that, it sounds like lack or need to me. What would I say? Well, how would I change that? And as you begin to make those transitions, one thought at a time, doesn't need to be big, you begin to move yourself in alignment with this principle. The secret to having it all is believing you already do. And I wanted to finish today from Rumi. I love this quote of his. Everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself. You don't need to go anywhere else. Everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself. Let's go to silence, please.